I'm going to go to the top of the draft again. I don't know if I'm just getting the hot takes out early while I can or not. But I definitely understand why this player is going there, why he's ranked and projected where he is. But, man, every time that he's the top player available, I find myself going in a different direction, and it's Najee Harris. And I'll see what you say about this being the Pittsburgh fan that you are. I mean, listen, he was exactly as advertised coming out of Alabama. It's a reliable workhorse that doesn't need to come off the field that you can build at the running back position. He played 170 more snaps than the next closest running back. And as a byproduct of that, he led all running backs with 381 touches. He had 74 catches as well. On a per game basis, he was second and fifth in those categories. The one knock on Harris was just the same thing we saw as the case in college. He's just not an extremely explosive player. Just 9.1% of his carries gained 10 or more yards. That was 31st among 53 qualifying players with 100 more carries. He had just 2 plays all season that gained 25 or more yards. And to his own kind of credit and defense, the Pittsburgh offensive line was as bad as advertised. They were 30th in ESPN's run block win rate. They were 24th in overall run blocking grade at Pro Football Focus. They were 28th in adjusted line yards created at Football Outsiders. No matter which place you want to go to, they were bad. But the downside is also that line is just not subjectively really that much better on paper heading into 2022. And look at last year. He had the most carries in the NFL facing 6 or fewer defenders in the box, 144 of his carries. He averaged just 4.4 yards per carry on those carries, was a full yard below the league average. He averaged just 1.4 yards prior to contact on those carries, where the offensive line had basically leverage. That was the third lowest yards prior to contact on those runs of all running backs of 50 or more carries. Only Javonte Williams and Joe Mixon had lower yards prior to contact than that. We also have to question the situation now with the changeover with Ben Roethlisberger. Could it be better or could it be worse? Could there be a massive target reduction with now teams don't have to worry about, this offense running around the pop gun arm of Ben Roethlisberger? Najee Harris had 60 targets last year that were either at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage. The next closest running back had 39. The mobility of Mitchell Trubisky and potentially Kenny Pickett allows the Steelers now to kind of cater their offense more to Matt Canada's play calling style. We should see a lot more, quarterback rollouts, a lot more quarterback runs than we saw with Ben Roethlisberger. While I totally understand why Najee Harris goes where he goes, why he's projected where he goes, I always find myself when he comes up, maybe wanting to go with a wide receiver and then catching a running back coming back around as my RB1, then taking him. Just feels like, Edwin Portis called this just ordering vanilla ice cream. I feel that is very much apropos of what we're getting with Najee Harris.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement. The other thing with Pittsburgh is that over the last 2 years, they've been second in the NFL behind only Tampa Bay in pass rate. I mean, they've thrown the ball so much with Ben Roethlisberger because they had this makeshift offensive line. They had this immobile quarterback, and he didn't want to get sacked. His time to throw was immediate, which really benefited 2 players. Mostly it was Deontay Johnson. It really benefited, and it really benefited Najee Harris this past year. If I were to play devil's advocate, because I agree with you, he is one of those players where it's just very, very difficult for me to hit draft. Oftentimes, sometimes he'll fall to the second in some of these best ball drafts. And it's easier to do it there, but in the first, I'm just getting Dalvin Cook or I'm getting like a Joe Mixon or something in the late first or at that 1-2 turn. But the one positive with Najee Harris is they still don't have anyone behind him. They still have not filled that RB2 spot effectively. We'll see what happens during cutdowns because I think there's going to be some intriguing names out there who could fit really well. I thought a player who would have worked really well as a backup for them as a day 3 pick was Kevin Harris, who ended up going to New England. And now New England's got Ty Montgomery that they really seem to like that could play maybe the James White role. And then if Pierre Strong makes it, then all of a sudden Kevin Harris is not going to make the team, or maybe he's a practice squad guy. So there's going to be players like that who can shoulder a decent workload. Obviously not as talented as a guy like Najee, but they need to do something with that backup spot because right now, Benny Snell's not going to cut it. And they've had guys coming in and out all camp and such, but it's going to be tough to get by with that sort of depth. That's the only positive though with Najee Harris situationally. I think everything going from how they were operating with Roethlisberger to how they're going to operate here, it's hard to really look at the positives with Najee Harris.